Mr. Orly.
Finished today. What's that?
After making a huge impact, not only in the US but globally, Orly Wahba made Aliyah 6 years ago from Brooklyn. She's a profound educator, entrepreneur, film director and author. And as a result of that, she was invited to give a presentation talk on TED's Central Stage. I'm honored to introduce you to my dear friend and close friend, a wonderful, amazing person who only knows, does, and believes in doing good. Orly, please.
Thank you. I very much appreciate your words, Roy. Roy truly embodies the topic of what we're going to talk about today. But before I get into it, I want to just bring everyone's attention to this. I know Roy spoke about, are you okay? But I have to tell you, no matter what Roy would have asked me to do, I would have said, yes, no problem. Can you come here? Can you go? Yeah, 100% Roy, no problem, whatever you need. But when he told me about this project, this concept of asking people, are you okay, listening, truly listening, encouraging, checking in, it really struck a chord with me. And I think through my story that I'm going to share with you tonight, you'll understand a little bit why. You know, Benjamin Disraeli said that the greatest good you could do for another is not just to share your riches, but to reveal to him his own. To understand this line, really, all we need to do is look at Hanukkah. What is the idea? To reveal to him his own. To help light a candle. For a person to see the potential and the value that they actually have inside of them. This is the greatest good you could do for someone. To help them understand that they, in fact, matter. That they make a difference. That because they're here, the world is a better place. And it's just the truth. It says that Hashem doesn't put an extra letter in the Torah for no reason. A little nikud. I think he's going to put an extra person in the world for no reason. So as Roy said, my name is Orly. Just a bit about myself. I started off as a middle school teacher. I was teaching 7th and 8th grade. I was teaching Torah for 7 incredible, life-changing years. I loved it, every moment of it. And for me, it was really about bringing the Torah to life for my students and teaching them the basis of it. And the basis that the Torah is built on can really be summed up in one word. And that word is chesed. That word is kindness. That is the essence of everything. And back in 2011, I took a leap of faith, and I left my job teaching that I loved. Nobody thought that I would. It was going to be just for a year, just like how I decided in 2018, I'm going to come just for a year to Israel. And of course, it became my life mission. And I pursued a dream I had in my heart ever since I was a little kid. A dream to bring people together in this world through the power of kindness, to help people see their essence and their value. And it started with a nonprofit that I started called Life Vest Inside. And whenever I tell people the organization about kindness is called Life Vest Inside, they laugh at me. They say, wait, I don't understand what Life Vest Inside, what are you talking about? But the idea, and I won't have the opportunity to go into the background of the story tonight, but the idea behind it is to think about a life vest for a moment. You could push it down, and what happens? It pops right back up. The idea is that our life vest, our greatest strength, is all inside of, is within us. It's through the kindness that we bestow on others, and through the kindness that others bestow on us, that we keep each other afloat in a world that sometimes seems to be pulling us downward. Because all of us know, we've seen it over this year, we can't prevent and stop the obstacles and the mishaps from coming our way. Each and every person here, and every single person out there, has gone through hardships in life. Things that we don't expect to happen. And when we do, it sometimes feels like we're in the middle of this raging storm, in the middle of the sea, with all these waters around us. But think about what a life vest can do when it's thrown into the water. It's not going to stop the raging waters, but what it does is it gives a person a lifeline of hope. Something to hold on to know that somebody else is thinking of you, to know that it's going to be okay. Because hope is the most important thing. When we lose hope, when a person loses hope, they could become a detriment not only to themselves, but they could become a detriment also to society. Because they stop believing in their essence. They stop seeing their light. The fact that it has the ability to affect so many other people. So to understand why I started this organization to begin with, why would I leave my job teaching that I love to pursue this initiative, and it started with a short film, which we'll get to. We have to go a little bit further back. Back to when I was a 4-year-old kid. Don't worry, it's not going to be a play-by-play of my whole entire life, but Orly, as a small little kid, as a 4-year-old kid, I dreamed of changing the world. I did. When you're a 4-year-old kid thinking of changing the world, and I'm listening to the Michael Jackson, Heal the World's music, you know, I blasted, and I loved it. People would be like, you're nuts. What, are you going to change the world? You know how many people are better than you, bigger than you, have come along and tried to make a difference? What are you talking about? So people looked at me like I was nuts, but I very much believed it in my heart ever since I was a little kid. I can't explain it. Those are my conversations with Hashem before I would go to sleep. I knew there was something I was meant to do. I had no idea what. But the one thing I could say is I love people. I fall in love with people. And the worst thing that can happen to a person is when a lot of people start telling them, no, you can't, you can't. The worst thing is when the person starts to believe it themselves. And I went through various hardships in my younger years. School didn't come easy to me. It was very hard for me. I was, I had to be removed from my class and put in a much smaller class. Kids would make fun of you. Regular, typical things that happen. Being turned on by a bunch of my friends in my 7th grade year, middle school years, which are super difficult. I sort of retreated into myself. I was the shyest kid you ever met. I was not the kid that would be standing up here and speaking. Okay, I wouldn't even raise my hand in class. But then another tremendous piece of the puzzle of my life happened. And the truth is, it was probably the greatest thing Hashem could have done for me, honestly. It didn't feel like that at the time. Oftentimes, the things that push us to be the people that we're meant to be, that push us past our limits, those hardships, we don't really see their value when they're happening. But oftentimes, I'm sure some of you can agree, that it's precisely when we are at our lowest that we are at our highest potential. When we're pushed against the wall and we have to tap into that light that exists within us. So in my sophomore year of high school, we had a fire in my house. And overnight, my family lost everything. Now, thank God we were okay, physically. I was okay, I'm one of 5 siblings. But it does something to you when you're home. The place that you run to when everything in the world doesn't make sense, when things just seem so crazy. That place that you come to, when it goes up in smoke. When you lose your childhood memories of photos when you're a kid, and all those things. But the thing that killed me most, and I'll never forget it, is seeing my parents' face the next day. They didn't know I heard them and saw them, but I saw them crying. To see your parents break down crying, it's like somebody stabbing you in the heart. And the last thing I wanted was to be a burden on my parents. They had so much going on. It wasn't just the fire. You know those kind of years? We all know those kind of years. Where one thing after the next just goes wrong. You just wonder, when is this going to end? It's not a joke anymore. One thing my dad lost his business. I didn't even realize, I only found out years later that there were weeks where they didn't know how they were going to even put food on the table. It was 6 years that my family was moving around. Often during those years separated, one child here, one person there, until we lived under the same roof. But that first year was definitely the hardest. And I was a positive kid, always had a close relationship with Hashem. Hashem was my best friend. So I remember coming to school the next day after the fire, and I sort of just made light of it. I was like, yeah, my house burned down, And I put on this armor. Everything was fine. I didn't want to be a burden on my family. They were going through enough. And kids at that age, and to be honest, it can even be with adults. You guys, I'm sure, have all experiences. People will ask, how are you? And people don't know how to respond in situations like this. So sometimes they actually just ignore even asking you because they don't know what to say. So even if I brought it up, the subject would be changed. And I just sort of kept all these emotions inside. And somebody would ask me how I was, and I would say, yeah, I'm fine. And inside I was just begging, please ask me again. ask me again. I didn't believe that people truly actually cared. It was just lip service, you know what I mean? I don't blame them, because it's not easy to know what to say to somebody when they're going through things, but you know what I needed? I just needed someone to listen. I didn't need them to give me the answer, because you can't give an answer when somebody's whole world is turning upside down. They don't want to hear that it's going to be okay, because it's not. They just need you to listen. And again, I continue to push things off. Everything is good, until one night, I'll never forget, I went to bed, and I just sort of didn't wake up the next morning. I fell into a state of really dark depression. When I say dark, I mean suicidal dark. I was sleeping most of the day, crying the rest of the day. I wasn't in school for several months. The thing that killed me most, I told you guys that I was a very shy kid, so I wasn't the kid that would raise my hand in class, but I really cared about people. So if we were in the same class and you were absent, I was the one taking notes on carbon paper. You guys know carbon paper. Okay? And if I say this to like teenagers, like, carbon paper? I would take notes for them and bring it to them the next day in class. I was home from school for several months. Not one person called. Not one person called to ask if I was okay. Not one person even wondered where I was. And to be honest, that made me question, do I actually even matter? Does it make a difference that I'm here in this world? And I was angry at everybody, at my friends, at my family. I was really angry at Hashem. I wasn't talking to anybody, but I was screaming at Hashem. I couldn't understand it. I wanted to drop out of school. Like I said, I was in a very scary, dark place. I haven't thought about this day in a while, but I'll never forget one day when because we were living in a very small apartment, half here, half there, and my family was out, and I went out onto the fire escape, and I just remember looking down these 7 stories and thinking, what does it matter if I just give it all away? What does it make a difference? It doesn't really have any sort of impact on the world. Apparently, thinking that I could change the world, what am I talking about? Nobody even knows I'm here. I was forced to go back to school after several months, but I wasn't the same kind of kid. I was a very studious kid prior to that, but I was a kid sitting in the corner, dressed all in black. Didn't care to listen to what the teacher said. It honestly didn't matter. And one morning I woke up and I was getting ready for school. I'll never forget this. I was getting ready for school. And I went to the bathroom and I was washing up. And I was looking at myself in the mirror. Really looking at myself. You know when you really look at yourself in the eyes in the mirror? And the scariest thing happened to me in that moment. I didn't see me. I didn't see that 4-year-old kid that dreamed of changing the world looking back at me. It was like she was gone. It was like somebody took her. And to be honest, that scared me most of all. And it was in that moment, in the bathroom, I made a promise to myself. A promise to be there for people the way that I wish somebody would have been there for me. To see people the way that I just wish somebody would have seen me. Because at the end of the day, that's really all we want in this world, is we want to feel seen. We want to feel like we actually matter, that we make a difference, that by us being here, something has changed. Those next couple of years of high school were really tough. I was sort of walking alone. Walking alone in the cafeteria is hard enough, but to not have people around you, it's not easy. But it is, again, thank you Hashem, thank you Hashem. It gave me the greatest opportunity in the world. It gave me the chance to fall in love with me for me. Not because I wanted to impress that person or the other. I got a chance to fall in love with me for me, something that sometimes people don't get to do throughout their entire life. And when we come to understand our inherent value, that we make a difference, that we matter, suddenly things shift and people see us in a different way because we actually see ourselves in a different way. When I came to understand the words that we say every morning when we say Moda Ani Lefanecha, and I ask people all the time, what does it mean? They say, oh, we're thanking God for bringing us back to life, because we're like a 60th dead when we sleep, and so we're thanking God for giving us back our neshama. But so many people forget about the last two words of that line that we say every morning. Rabbah emunatecha. Your faith in me. What do you mean? Shouldn't we say our faith in you, Hashem? No. When you wake up every morning, when you take that first deep breath in, that's Hashem calling to all the malachim saying, come, 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 come. Take a look at what Orly's going to do today. Take a look at what Shulamit is going to do today. That no matter how many mistakes we made yesterday and the day before, that Hashem is betting on us. All the more so we should bet on ourselves. It was only in my senior year of high school that I finally found my voice, that shy girl finally found her voice, and it was on a seminar. And I was in a room similar to this right now, and we were sitting in a circle. And the rabbi was talking about obstacles. And I did something I never did before. I raised my hand. And I had something to contribute. And the craziest thing is that peers of mine, kids that I used to be intimidated from, were listening to me and coming to me afterwards and asking me for advice. And what I found is that the more I gave, the more I began to heal. And the more I gave, the more I healed. I became obsessed in love with this concept and this idea of giving. I was always a giver. I always understood that. But what I understood for the first time is that there are two kinds of giving in this world. There's giving from strength, and there's giving from weakness. And they are very different. One comes from a good place, the other can be very dangerous. When you're giving from strength, you understand that you yourself are like a candle, that you can light other candles and still retain your strength, still retain that power. When you give from weakness, it feels like sacrifice. You're giving in order, maybe it's because you want to be accepted. But the only person that can accept you is you. When you come to understand that God put you here and you have a purpose, suddenly things shift. Well, it was precisely this experience in my life that led me to my 7 incredible years teaching, because for me, it was fulfilling a promise I made to be there for others, to see others. I never wanted any of my students to feel the way I felt. And it's why I took that leap of faith. That leap of faith to pursue a dream a 4-year-old kid had of changing the world through the power of kindness and helping people see the inherent good that exists within them, simply by sometimes just doing something as simple as saying, are you okay? A simple question can make a tremendous difference. But it is a choice that we have to make. And we have these choices at every moment within our day. Every single moment. I started my organization with a short film that I'm going to show you now. It's a short 5-minute video. It's called Kindness Boomerang. Every scene that you're about to see is based on a real life experience that I went through. Now, I shot this during my summer off from teaching. Had been years since I had done film. But I remember that morning feeling like there's something that I'm about to do now that's going to be big. I don't know how. I had no idea. I was a 7th, 8th grade teacher, Torah teacher in Brooklyn. But it felt like something was going to explode from this. And when I took that film and I put it online, I just uploaded it to YouTube. It ended up going crazy viral, reaching over 100 million people around the world. Shown in schools and in countries across the globe. I had no idea what was going on. I'm like, wow, this is what happened to put a video on YouTube. What was it? I was spending the majority of my day, I'm talking about 18 hours of my day, just responding to comments. Because my belief is somebody's talking to you, you need to talk back to them. What I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to share this film with you right now, is I'm going to give you a small challenge. The challenge that I'm going to ask you is to try to see if you can pinpoint 2 hidden acts of kindness in this film that are different from the others. It's one thing, right, if I do an act of kindness for, it's Elias? Lias, right? It's one thing. And then she's super pumped, and she goes ahead and she's going to do an act of kindness for Flora, okay? But what I'm going to ask you to do is try to see if you can find two yotzei min haklal, two exceptions to the rule in this film. You up for the challenge? So without further ado, we have kindness boomerang. If you had one word to describe this film, what would you say?
Day in Yerushalayim.
Day in Yerushalayim. I love that. That actually makes me very happy to hear. Anyone else? One word. What would you use to describe it? Chesed. Okay. Anything else?
Conformity.
Conformity. My friend in the back.
Mitzvah, Goreus.
Mitzvah. I'll give you another word. Choices. See, every single person here had a choice. Every single one of them. They could have chosen to continue on with their day. Who knows what was going on? They might be very, very busy. Who knows where they're heading to? They could make like they don't see. Many people do that. Or they could choose to engage. Every person here made a choice to engage. Had they not made that choice, and of course, as you know, the first person in the beginning is the same at the end. Sometimes in our life, we don't necessarily know how the choices that we make, the positive choices, will create these ripple effects. But they do. Because every person matters, therefore every person's action matters. If every person matters, that means the choices they make do in fact matter. It's when we stop believing in who we are, the fact that our choices matter, that we're more likely to make negative choices. Not understanding the impact that we can have. So I want to ask, did anybody pick up on the two hidden acts of kindness that I was referring to? Yes.
Eye contact.
Okay, there's eye contact, but anybody pick up on these two? There's very true. People were transferring that energy through the eyes, 100%. Meaning they're actually seeing each other, which unfortunately many people don't do so much today. Yes?
The hot dog vendor,
The hot dog vendor?
he gave the bottle of water because no kindness had been done to him.
Exactly. He didn't.
And the florist who gave flowers.
And the flower vendor, exactly. I'm actually just going to pull something up here for a moment. Let's just give me a moment. I'm going to just, because the other thing is not working, so hopefully we're going to be able to do it through here. Just a second. Okay. So we have two of the vendors, right? Like I said, it's one thing when I do an act of kindness. If I do an act of kindness for Doobie, right? And I supercharge him. Now Doobie's feeling super, I'm feeling very good. Wow. Gave him a compliment, he's feeling awesome, loving glasses, wow. He's continuing on with his day, okay? And now he's gonna bump into Hershey. He's feeling so good, he does an act of kindness for Hershey or gives him a compliment. Now he supercharges him. Hershey's walking around, he bumps into Roy, supercharges him. Because our actions matter. Now there are two people, both of the vendors, the hot dog vendor and the flower vendor. They didn't receive an act of kindness, but they witnessed an act of kindness happening and they said, I want in. Because when we impact somebody, we're not just impacting them, we're impacting all of the people around that see it happening. Making them say, wow, that was awesome. I want to do that. I want in on this. Sounds like something that is about me. Now let's focus on this scene here for a moment, okay? And I'm also going to pull it up here on my laptop so you guys can see it a bit more in case it's with the light, okay? So here's this scene. What's going on? You see, you have to understand, why do our choices matter? Well, to answer that question, we need to understand, who are these people? Let's try to create a backstory. What is going on in this scene? Why did it matter so much that this older woman received flowers that day? What's going on in this scene? There's no right or wrong answer. Let's actually, take it apart. What is happening here? Anybody have any idea? Can you tell me anything about this person? There's no right or wrong answer. Yes.
She's lonely.
She's lonely. Why is she lonely? Go deeper.
No one with her. She's alone.
She's alone, but why are you saying that she's lonely? When you're just alone, are you always lonely?
No.
So what do you think?
She was so grateful for the flowers.
She is grateful for the flowers.
She was crying. She seemed to be crying.
She seemed to. Why would you think she would be crying?
Something must have happened.
She lost
Make up a
someone.
backstory.
She lost someone.
She lost someone. Okay.
I first thought maybe they were related or something.
Okay. What else is going
Because
on
she
in this
really
scene?
hugged her when she gave her the flowers.
Yes, she did. So we see this woman. Can you see where she's looking? What is she looking at?
Is someone singing? Is that?
What's happening over here? In this scenario, right over here. Let's see if you can see.
Someone standing there and doing something. I don't know.
What's happening here?
She's seeing two people hugging.
There's two people hugging. Who do you think that they can be? Why do you think that
It's
she's
a
looking
mother
at them?
and daughter, I think.
Maybe a mother and daughter? Why would that matter to her?
Because she
So
doesn't
she's
have,
missing
doesn't have
some.
She doesn't have something?
There. Maybe
She doesn't
somewhere
have it
else,
there,
but not
yeah.
there.
Well, after COVID, how many
Maybe she
people
lost
hugged
someone.
another person? We all used to kiss each other.
Very true.
Each other anymore. She may have lost someone close to
She may have lost someone close. I mean, remember I told you before I showed the film that this entire film is based on real life experiences I personally went through? Every scene. Well, I want to tell you about this woman, this older woman here. This older woman was a teacher, and she loved teaching, and she loved her students, and she gave her all. And she couldn't wait to be a mother. She was like very excited. She always wanted to be a mother. But she put her all into her work, and unfortunately she didn't get married until very later in life. And when she did get married, her husband gave her a charm bracelet. And he gave her a charm bracelet with 3 charms on it. One for every child that they were hoping and longing to have. But unfortunately she got married very late in life. And she wasn't able to have children. And her husband passed away. And it's a year from when he passed. And there she is sitting in this restaurant, alone, with a charm bracelet, and every one of those charms still intact. And then suddenly, someone sees her, maybe sees something of themselves in her, and engages. You see, every person has a backstory. Every person you bump into, every person, even the people you know that you think you know their story, you don't. We don't. Every person that you meet, think about the amount of choices you make every day. Do you realize how many choices we make? And so, obviously, we can't grab hold of all of them. But just because we can't grab hold of all, does it mean we shouldn't grab hold of what we can? So the small things that we do, it doesn't mean that we need to stop our day or rearrange our schedule. It is not about stopping our day, but it's about shifting our perspective as we're going from point A to point B. It can be as simple as a word, as a smile, as a question, anything. These are the things that truly make a difference, that truly matter, because our eyes are a muscle just like every other muscle in our body. You know, if you haven't worked out in a very long time and you go to the gym and you start lifting weights, you're going to be sore, obviously, because those muscles are not used to working. Well, our eyes also a muscle. It is our kindness muscle. It is our ability to become aware of the opportunities that surround us and to take hold of those opportunities, to seize them. Nobody here, if I said, are you a kind person? Who said, kindness? Nah, that's not for me. Thank you very much. I'll pass on that. But oftentimes we look at kindness as something that we do, as opposed to something that we are. We talk about Avraham Avinu, Ish HaChesed. But the truth is, Avraham Avinu never did kindness in his life. He lived kindness. He didn't do it. He didn't check it off of a list. It wasn't like, yes, I do kindness on Monday and Wednesday from 4 to 5. You miss me, please call my secretary. She'll make an appointment for another month and a half from now. No. His tent was open on all sides. His eyes were seeking the opportunities. He was tuned in. And this is a muscle we're all able to work on. But it starts with becoming aware of what kindness even looks like. And so I'm going to give us all a challenge. I'm going to leave you with a small parting gift. I'm going to pass out to each of you, in order to work on this muscle, not even an act of kindness card that has a specific act on it. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to do these. These are called catching kindness cards. And the way that it works is that when you see someone doing something kind, not for you, it's very easy to see somebody doing something good for you. But when you see someone doing something kind for someone else, Whether it's maybe getting up for somebody on the bus, or helping a person with their groceries, or whatever it may be. You give them the card, and on the back it says, tag you're it. You've just been caught performing an act of kindness. Now it's your turn to keep your eyes peeled and to catch someone else in the act. This helps us to exercise that muscle, to start seeing the good. There is a lot of good around us, and encouraging that good, because the person that gets it has no idea why you're giving it to them. I love using these cards. Somebody gets it, like, wait, who's this person? I don't even know who you are. And they look at it, and all of a sudden you see them today, and they start smiling. Because what that does is it helps them understand and recognize that when they take an action that is positive, it's not only affecting the person they did it for, it's affecting all the people that are seeing them, whether for the good or for the bad. So that the next action they take continues to have meaning and purpose. So I'm going to pass these cards out to you, but I want to end off with a poem that's left a very big impression in my life. And I'm hoping that it will leave an impression on yours as well. I apologize because this isn't working. I'm just going to read it to you. I don't have it to put up on the screen. And it's called The Dash by a woman named Linda Ellis. And it goes as follows. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on her tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of her birth, and he spoke of the following date with tears. But he said that what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that she spent alive on earth. And now, only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live, and how we love, and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try and understand the way other people feel. And be less quick to anger, and show appreciation more. And love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. We treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So, when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, will you be proud of the things they say about how you spend your dash? My question to you is not just how you spend your dash, but how many people's dash will you be a part of? I want to thank you all for your time. And I hope that each of you takes this card and has the ability to get rid of it within the next 24 hours. Otherwise, it completely combusts. No, I'm kidding. That would be very cool. But no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just wait for Orly to finish handing out the special cards. So, I think my introduction was too little for what we just heard. Please come stand next to me, my dear friend.
Oh,
This is also a gift. In your honor, a gift has been made to a lone soldier to share a breakfast with a friend. Granted to you for your presentation here. TELFED is honoring giving a gift to a lone soldier and a friend of his or hers to enjoy because you were around in this week. Thank you.
thank you so much. That's wonderful. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. By the way, that was very smart. It's true. That's an act of kindness. You just caught us.
Yeah, but I
You win.
organization.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
If anybody's interested, Google Orly's names and watch a TED talk. It's incredible.
Oh, no, my goodness, I can't watch myself.
Watch a TED talk. It's really amazing. And anything, another thing, this is another advert, but it's all non-profits of Orly. Like 4 years ago, Abrams and Christie?
Yes,
5
4 years ago, right before COVID, actually.
So tomorrow is my Aliyah date.
Mazel tov.
27th of December 1979. 45 years. 27th of December 1979.
Wow.
45 years tomorrow.
We came January 29, 1979.
Wow. Wow. Amazing.
A month later.
So, and 4 years ago, when I got my new cell phone that's not so new anymore, I was able to upload an app called Abraham's Legacy. It's a TLM app that Orly it was her initiative. She developed it. And I use this, like many other people in the world, I use it every day to read my TLM every single day. If you're interested, type in, download the app Abraham's Legacy. It's in memory of her late grandfather, Abraham. And it's it's inspiring, and it's just the beginning of what's coming next in inspiration in Tefillah and Tehillim. So thank you all for joining us. Thanks so much.
Thank you.